Cheers, everyone. It is I, Sleepy Reader, aka Damien. This is my Sleepy Vlog number 102. So I've done a lot of these, but spread out over 13 years. Sleepy Vlogs are when I have a bunch of things jumbled up in my head that I want to just ramble about. So this time around, I'm going to talk about comic book awards, YouTube, uh, artist editions, and some other things. But first off, I wanted to talk about the sort of not really about the comic book community awards, but something related to it, which is that for 3 or 4 years in a row, I've been nominated for the Comic Book Hall of Fame. I think the name of that award has changed a little bit over the years, but it's basically for someone who's been doing it a long time. And it was great to be nominated, and I really appreciate the people who pushed to get me nominated because I'm not someone who's going to push for that. I think the awards, founded by Brian LCS and still run by him, are fun. I think he enjoys doing an award show. I think it's a great way to find out about other channels or talk about channels that you like. But it's not a big deal to me. And I was watching a live stream a few weeks ago that was talking about how in some cases, it's a bit of a bummer that it's the same people nominated every year and doesn't give other people a chance to get nominated. So I'm very happy to take my hat out of the ring this time around. So I'm going to ask Brian LCS if he can remove me from the ballot, if I even would make the final ballot this year, because I'm not saying I'm a shoo-in, but I have made it a lot of other times. And I think it's natural for the big channels to win these awards in the end, and that popular channels, ones that have lots of viewers, and that just makes sense. I've always tried to nominate, or I've always nominated and hoped to get on the ballot Captain Strangelove, because I think of him as, the perfect Hall of Famer, so to speak, in the comic book community on YouTube. But it's never really worked. I think this year I might try nominating someone else, just to change things up. So anyway, I hope, if I know that I am already on the long list of nominees, so I hope whoever nominated me so far won't feel too bad about it, and I apologize to them. I should have made this announcement a week ago, and I've been meaning to, and I've just not gotten around to making videos. Oh, and one other note on the community awards point. If someone wants to nominate me in some other category, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to remove my name from other categories. It's just because I've been in that one category for so long, I did want to move out of the way and let other people into that category. So something, I don't know, something I heard or someone said, maybe go look at my analytics for my YouTube channel, which I haven't done in a long time, don't do too often. And it was surprising, 50 or 60%, at least on some of my videos, of the viewers were not subscribers, which I guess is not a big deal one way or another, just surprised me. And then I thought, well, those are probably mostly people who clicked on the video because it popped up in a search or on a sidebar, and then realized, oh, this is not something I want to watch, and clicked away. Because if you look at my YouTube stats, there's always a huge drop within the first 30 seconds. And for instance, on this one, they mentioned 55% of viewers are still watching at around the 30-minute mark. So I figured a huge percentage of the people who are watching are, especially those non-subscribers, maybe who don't know who I am, have clicked away. But then I was reading, I remembered something about people talking about what views are actually counted when YouTube counts your views. People talk about this kind of stuff because they're concerned about getting monetized and stuff. I'm never going to be monetized, so I haven't paid a lot of attention to this. But I did read in a lot of places saying that the count of views is only counting views that stay longer than 30 seconds. So then if I lose 45% of my viewers at the 30-second mark, then only that 55% of viewers in this particular case that I'm looking at are being counted. And if my total count, what was it for this one? Shoot, I can't find it. Well, anyway, let's say my total count was 379 views, then 45% of that 379 isn't the ones who clicked away in the first 30 seconds. So I guess maybe a lot more people are actually watching my videos than I thought. Because as I look at this, I think I end at 35%, but I'm starting at 55%. Doing the math on 379 views is tricky. But anyway, that's a lot more people watching to the end than I realized. So that's kind of good news, kind of interesting. Makes me look at those view counts differently, but also makes the math on that really complicated. Speaking of interesting little factoids, a little while ago, Naaman, a comic book worm, bought a copy of this book, Marvel Heroes from John Buscema, which I bought a number of months ago when it first came out. I think when it first came out, I bought it on In Stock Trades. I think with their discount, it cost me like $118 or something like that, which I thought was a good deal for this incredible, super oversized hardback. But he bought it on eBay for I think $40 or $50, and from a seller who had many, many copies, and they were all in the box, shrink wrapped, so presumably brand new. And he was worried that he would end up with a counterfeit copy or something. And he did a long video on it, which I watched. And as he did the video, I flipped through my copy. And it seemed like everything that was in my copy was in his. It looked the same as mine. I don't think it was counterfeit. And actually, I'm quite sure, because it would be very expensive to counterfeit this book and then sell it for $50, this artist edition. But I once bought, I think for a little more than that, but an even larger artist edition book I bought on eBay after I was alerted to its existence by Jared Osborne. It is the EC Comics Covers Original Art Gallery, or however they call it, the EC Covers Artist Edition. And the same thing, and it probably was the same dealer on eBay, had many, many copies for sale at this low price, shrink wrapped in the box, apparently brand new. My copy, I realized, is a misprint. So I'm guessing that in some way Naaman's copy is a misprint too. But I don't know for sure, but that's just my logical guess. And so I'm guessing that when the printer does a misprint, they put those copies aside and they print it out properly, and the copies got saved. And down the line, after maybe everything's sold out, they hopefully got permission to sell them at a discount on eBay. But the misprint in this is almost like a bonus, because there's like I'm not sure how many, like maybe 7 or 8 pages that are printed twice. So they're all Wally Wood covers, and so it just repeats near the end of the book. But I checked page by page. Every page that's in the table of contents is also still in here. And actually, there's one cover at the end. I don't know if it was supposed to be mentioned on the table of contents, but it's kind of like a weird bonus cover right at the end from, these books are clumsy too. I got it resting on my knee. It's the Vault of Horror, and it says, this Johnny Craig Vault of Horror 41 cover was commissioned by an EC collector in the late 1970s and is published here for the first time. So I don't know if that's a recreation or maybe there never was a Vault of Horror number 41. I have to look into that. But so anyway, if you're looking on eBay and you see these artist editions, I would at cheap prices, because the out of print ones usually are way more. I mean, you see ones for $250 and such. But if you see these sold as new, they don't. I don't think they say that there's anything wrong with them, but I'm guessing they're misprints. Probably well worth the money, despite being misprints. I mean, in the case of mine, it was no problem whatsoever. So in fact, it took me a while to realize it was like, this cover seems familiar as I was flipping through. But anyway, so that's just another little factoid that I wanted to share with you guys. So 2 nights ago, I went to a concert with my buddy John Stout, who some people may know as a supporter of the YouTube comic book community. We went to see Elvis Costello on a tour that was billed as Elvis Costello Does His Early Songs. And it was supposed to be songs from about his first 8 years of recording. And I was super excited over that because his first 3 albums were a huge part of my life from, I don't know, age 17 to age 20 or whatever, but a time when music was a very intense thing for me. I loved My Aim Is True and the album with Pump It Up on it and the Armed Forces album. And I liked other stuff that came afterwards, Trust and some other things. So I was really excited for this concert, and I think it was a lesson in nostalgia for me. I wanted to recreate my youth. I wanted it to all be there, like when I open up a comic book. But it really was not. Elvis has moved on. And even though he's playing these older songs, he leaned in more to what I would call kind of a like an Austin, Texas roots rock kind of sound. And one of the musicians he had with him, Charlie Sexton, is I think a well-known Austin, Texas musician. And so within that 9-year period, he did do an album called The King of America. And that shows more the sound he was going for. And so it did not have that sort of punchy new wave sound that I was craving for the most part, even though he did cover a lot of songs from that era. And they weren't bad. And it was a good concert overall. And I think if my expectations had been different, like I was going to go see Elvis Costello and just see him groove on the kind of music he wants to do now, that would be fine. His career has been all over the place, but for me, it's defined by those early albums, and I did not get what I wanted. And I keep trying to be reasonable about it and say, well, it was a good concert, but part of me says, no, 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 no. I want my youth. I want my youth back. Give it to me, Elvis. So anyway, I thought that was funny and kind of ties in with, part of my comic book collecting and comic book reading is very nostalgia driven, kind of a search for that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old boy. The angels run away, red shoes. The angels run away, red shoes. Red shoes. The angels run away, red shoes. Red shoes. The angels run away, red shoes. Some bits and pieces of interesting things I've been getting in the mail lately include this Heritage Comics and Comic Art catalog. I frequently bid and occasionally win on art pieces from Heritage, and they keep sending me all these catalogs. This one is a monster, and I can't believe there's this Frank Frazetta image on the cover. I'm very curious as to what that will go for. I think it's from Famous Funnies, probably a Buck Roger kind of picture. Only if all Buck Rogers was like that, or Buck Rogers, or maybe Flash Gordon. I'm not sure. but it gets me so riled up kind of looking at the art in here. I'll do a little flip through video. There's so much good stuff. Now the art that I buy is always minor pieces. They're still very expensive. But I just can't even imagine where all the money comes from to buy some of these major pieces. Because, covers and just major splash pages from major artists, they go for so much money these days. There's some really wealthy collectors out there, I guess. And one thing I've always realized from bidding on these kinds of things, because you're bidding on a one-of-the-kind item, it just takes two people to really want something to drive the price up really high. A lot of times I'll bid, but I don't watch the final. You bid online, and then the final thing is kind of a live auction online where you can press little buttons and quickly bid. And after doing that once or twice, I decided not to do it again. But sometimes I'll have put in my maximum bid, let's say $210, and I'll see afterwards, oh damn, someone won it for $220. So I was the only other one besides them who wanted it or wanted it very much. But I don't know if the two of us were bidding on it, what it would have gone up to. But it's a good thing that I don't win most of them, because I would have to stop very soon if I spent all my money at once on all the ones I bid on. But so it's sort of a weird form of enjoyment and torture bidding on all these pieces. Yeah, I just lost out on a bunch of John Buscema Conan pieces recently. That's probably no surprise. But I'm trying to remember which ones. There were some other pieces that I came so close, and if I'd been gone to the live bidding, maybe I would have got them. I don't know. So that's kind of one of my. That's the expensive part of my collecting. Now, I order a lot of Tomorrow's magazines ahead of time. I ordered a whole bunch at the beginning of COVID because they were having financial problems, and I think I'm still getting some from those. And then when Diamond Distributors declared bankruptcy, Tomorrow's was caught flat-footed and needed people to buy things directly from them again. And most often I buy directly from them anyway, sometimes when they're having sales, but also because then I get the physical magazine and a digital copy. And it's great for reading these Tomorrow's magazines on airplanes and such, or late at night at bed before I go to sleep. So most recently I got this Alter Ego. I got these 4 all in a package together, I think, which was kind of cool. But it hasn't given me time to read them all. I got Alter Ego, which is focused on Superman artists that came right after Joe Shuster, some of which I think were Joe Shuster ghost artists or assistants and such. So I look forward to reading that. And I think there's a bunch of, that's the big article, but there's a bunch of other articles in here. What is this one? They're long articles, so I'm trying to find the beginning of it. Yeesh. Where'd it go? Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is the whole... Yeah, almost all the magazine, actually, I was wrong, is on this Superman stuff. And Comic Book Creator, which I think does have a bunch of different articles, but this cover by Rick Veitch is real crazy. Look at that nose and other parts of the face. And Rick Veitch is a really interesting artist and writer. So I'm looking forward to reading all about that. And what else have we got here? Oh, something about cartoons. Sorry, I got to keep it moving along, don't I? And then the latest Jack Kirby Collector, which is a kind of a clever cover there, and it's about more minor characters that Kirby created. How did they put it? Supporting players. and I'm looking forward to read that. But I have read almost all of Cryptology #3, and this, whoops, man, this is one of my new favorite magazines. It's kind of goofy. They write it in kind of a overhyped, goofy kind of way, but that kind of fits the, horror, the horror host kind of approach. So it covers all kinds of old school horror, from comics to movies, and some pretty obscure stuff. The movie The Gorgon from Hammer, cinematic puppet terror. What else have we got here? London After Midnight, a lost film that no one ever gets to see, and what else have we got here? A Requiem for Charlton Horror, and then a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, we've got War of the Worlds, but also a whole bunch of a huge long article, or several articles, about the Mars attacks phenomenon, the cards and the and all the stuff that spun out of it. And it's making me want to go watch that Tim Burton Mars Attacks movie, which I watched in the theater sometime in the 90s, and it was not what I was hoping for. But I might like it now with different expectations. But the history of the cards themselves is a lot of fun, and inspired by this, I went out and got this book that they mention, which reprints all the Mars Attacks cards. The cover is even made out of a material that is like that kind of waxy paper that they used to wrap the cards and the bubble gum in, and it includes a later Mars Attacks series, all kinds of sketches, lots. It gives you the backs. You get to read the back of the card and see the front of the card, and there's lots of notes by the cards about the artists and the process that made it. And I didn't know until reading the article in Cryptology that Mars Attacks never got a full national rollout of their cards. They would roll them out a few cities at a time just to see how the sales would go, and they got so many complaints from parents about violence, because these cards are for kids, of course, that the whole thing got canceled. So I guess that makes the real cards very rare. This book even came with some cards, actual cards of an even newer, I think, Mars Attacks on the back. So I haven't read all of the book yet. I read all of Comics Cryptology, and I'm a huge Cryptology fan. And it's gonna make me go back and look at all kinds of horror that I missed out on the first time. So I think that's my little sleepy vlog. This time I experimented by trying to have different backgrounds, so I had to stop and start my camera, and I think that, for me personally, that's maybe not as good. So I think the next time I do a sleepy vlog, I'll do it all in one take like I usually do. But thanks for hanging out with me, and there'll be more to come.
Really? You got to be at the end of each of my video clips.